Today's video is a big, juicy travel Q&A. I'm going to answer all of the questions you have and give you all of the inside info. Welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, hi, my name's Elle. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am a twin mum to Revy and Rue. They are our 7-month-old twins now. My husband Dave is currently on twin duty. They're down for a sleep. I know that one of them's awake. He's in the nursery now. So anyway, you might see him in the background. You might see a twin in the background. The perfect YouTube background no longer exists for me because my house is an absolute mess and chaos at all times. But it's the best because it's just busy and well lived in. But anyway, today's video is an overdue one. It is answering your travel questions. Recently, we came back from an almost month-long trip to the United States. It was our first overseas trip with the twins, and they traveled when they were 6 months old. And I put up on my Instagram story asking if anybody had any travel questions that they wanted me to answer, and you guys delivered. Like, whoops, it's upside down. Look at all of the questions. Okay, so we might not get through every one of them, but I'm going to try to hit the most popular questions that have come in a lot. And yeah, let's just tear into it. I'm gonna keep my phone with me so that I can reference the question and answer it that way. Favorite part of the trip, my favorite part of the trip, and Dave and I spoke about this, was literally just all of the one-on-one time that we got with the twins, making memories. Before we went away, I was pretty nervous about how the twins were gonna go with all the travel that we had to do. I knew that we were going to be out and about most days because we'd be far away from our hotel, so it didn't make sense to come back always during the day. But it was just the best. The twins coped so well. They were honestly just angels. But getting to spend so much time with Dave and the twins, just every day, it was honestly the best. How did Revy and Rue do on the flights? So we had 3 flights in total. We had our flight from New Zealand to Los Angeles. We had an internal flight when we were in the States, and that was flying from LA to Washington, DC. And then our final flight was a big one, and that was our flight home. We flew on the new Air New Zealand route, which goes direct from New York to Auckland. That last flight is like a 17.5-hour flight, which sounds like a crazy amount of time. I didn't really think about it at the time. The reason why we picked that flight was, so I've just got my giant water bottle here because no doubt I'm gonna need water with all this talking. At the time when we booked that flight, I didn't think too much into it. I just figured it would be handy not having to fly from New York to LA, get off the plane, get our bags, check our bags into the international terminal and do that whole thing. I figured it would just be better for us just to get on one flight, and that would just be easy, despite it being so long. The twins did amazingly well on all of the international flights. They did so well. The toughest part for us of the flight was the time that the flight left the airport, because by the time the flight left, the twins were zonked. It was way past their bedtime. So we would get them to sleep in the stroller or in the front packs, and then the hard part was them having to wake up and then getting them back to sleep. But once they were back asleep, they slept for so long and they loved it. The white noise, all of that. They weren't bothered by the light in the cabin because the cabins weren't dimmed until a little bit after takeoff, because they do drink service, then dinner service, and then the cabin lights dim, which is annoying. But the twins fell asleep even though the lights were bright. We do have a travel vlog of us going over, so you can see our experience in the bassinets with the twins. Bassinets worked great for the twins' age that they were, which was 6 months. And it was also really handy having the seats beside us spare, because in the morning the twins obviously wanted out of their bassinets and they wanted to sit somewhere and move around. And if we didn't have those seats spare, that would have been a problem for us. Did the babies cry much when flying? And if so, how did we handle that? On our flight to DC, which is another vlog in itself, the babies lost it. Basically the entire flight, I think that was like a 4 or 5 hour flight, just cried. Both of them cried. It was miserable. Miserable for us, miserable for them, miserable for the people around us. Thankfully, the people that were sitting like beside us, they were super understanding. We did hear some comments from others around the plane, but Literally, there was like nothing we could do. We were trying everything that we could to get them to stop crying, and they refused. So it is what it is. Honestly, the way in which we handled it was just trying to stay calm ourselves. Dave and I, we tried to laugh through it, like making little jokes to each other while trying to comfort the twins, and just reminding myself all the time that the flight was going to end. We would get off the plane, everyone around us would be spared, and it would be okay. Do you think you could live in New York City? I did live in New York City for just over a year. 7 years ago, I went there on my OE. I moved over there and I loved New York. New York is such a cool city. I personally think that I could live there. It would be a massive lifestyle change though, because your apartment is a lot smaller, everything is a lot smaller, and also the city is not like super baby friendly. And if you want to see what I mean, check out our New York City vlog and you'll see what a day in the life looks like when you have a baby in New York and you're wanting to explore. It's a challenge is all I'm going to say. It's not super easy, but it's doable if you want to do it. You can totally do it. What do we do for car seats when catching Ubers? This was a really tricky one. It was something that I did a lot of research on before we went, because I was deciding, do we bring the twins' car seats with us? In LA, we hired a car, so we needed car seats while we were in LA. But then we went on to Washington, DC and New York, and in those places we weren't going to hire a car. So the car seat would have just gathered dust, because there's not a lot of point in bringing a car seat with you to put in an Uber if you're going to like a place for lunch, for example, and then you want to explore the rest of the day because you have to lug a car seat around. There are no Ubers in the places that we were visiting that had a car seat for an under 12-month-old. All of the car seats, some Ubers I found out in New York, I think it was New York, had car seats available, but you couldn't order an Uber with a car seat via the app. It was just random if you got one. And if you did get a car seat, it was only for a baby over the age of 12 months, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It was going to be impossible to find 2 Ubers with 2 car seats at random. But in those states that we visited, and check where you're visiting what the regulations are in the place that you're visiting, an Uber was classified as public transport. So under public transport, whether that's a bus, a taxi, a baby wasn't required to be in a car seat. A baby could be on you, like on your lap. So what we did for the best like safety option that we could think of was have the babies in the carriers and the front packs strapped to us, and then we were seat belted in, and that's how we got around in the Ubers and taxis that we took. There are lots of questions about the Sky Couch, which is what we were on our way home from New York. So questions like, how did we make the airplane seats into a bed? What was the mattress thing across the seats in the plane? How does the Sky Couch work? Do you pay for all 3 seats? The Sky Couch is an option on Air New Zealand in their economy class cabin. And the Sky Couch is 3 seats that you get. You don't pay for all 3 seats, you pay a portion of the cost of 3 seats, but it is more expensive obviously than just like one economy seat. A Sky Couch is so awesome, and personally it was my preference out of the 2 that we tried. So we tried traveling with a bassinet in premium economy, and then we tried a Sky Couch, and Dave and I both loved the Sky Couch so much more for a couple of reasons. Mostly because it gave the twins not only a place to sleep that was really comfy for them, but also it gave them a place that they could play, kick around, move, wriggle, and it was just perfect. In our cabin, on the Sky Couches, I think there were like 5 or maybe 6 Sky Couches just along the side. So I had one and Dave had one, and we each had a baby. Behind me, there were 2 Sky Couches, and on those Sky Couches, it was just 1 person per Sky Couch, and that person just curled up and made it into a bed. It's not very long, so as an adult, you do have to like curl up and tuck in, but it's possible, and honestly, it's so nice to lie flat when you're sleeping. The team gives you like a mattress that goes, it's like a thin mattress that goes over the seat, so it stops any of those seat buckles from like digging in your back. And then along the side of the seats, there are buckles that you put your special sky couch seatbelt into. So there's a seatbelt that I wore that allowed me to lie down, and there was a seatbelt for the baby as well. The baby seatbelt is kind of like a jump harness. It's like across the front, down. I think it's like a 5-point harness, kind of like a car seat harness. So it's like toggles them in all over. And the great thing about the sky couch is that even when there's turbulence, you can stay lying flat if you want, so you could continue to sleep, and that meant we didn't have to disturb the baby either, which was amazing. But that's why we love the sky couch. It just gave us flexibility. There is no way that Dave, me, and 2 babies would ever be able to fit onto one sky couch. The one adult and one adult behind me, they looked really comfy. Then there was another couple, and they were on a sky couch in front of Dave, and that looked really tight, like quite cozy. So I think the sky couch would work best for an adult and a child, or an adult and an infant. And if there were 3 of you and you could afford it, my recommendation would be a sky couch for the child and like a parent, and then the other parent would just get a economy class seat and sit in that, and then the parents could swap and take turns, so you could have a chance to sleep each on the sky couch. Is traveling as exciting when you're parenting / exhausted from parenting? Where we live in Christchurch, we have a nanny who helps us out a couple of times a week, which is awesome because I'm able to work and do that kind of thing. And I was wondering this thing myself, because I've been able to have these days where I've had like moments where I've had a break from parenting, I guess, and being one-on-one with the twins, and I've been able to just focus on work. And I wondered, like on the holiday, I'm like, for the start of our holiday, we did have my parents and my sister there with us, which was amazing because they did give us breaks. At night, we would put the twins to bed, and then once they were asleep, my sister or my mum would sit in the room and they would just be there in case the twins woke up, which thankfully our babies don't wake up at night once they're down for a sleep. Touch wood that doesn't change. So they didn't have to do anything. And then that meant Dave and I could race out and have a late dinner together, which was really nice. And I wondered what it was going to be like, just like all day, all night, no breaks, also traveling and doing all of that. And honestly, it was amazing. It was so good, so fun. You definitely still have your stressful times like anybody does when they travel and things aren't going like, you know, perfectly according to plan, but it was great. We'd heard so many stories from people like, traveling isn't the same when you have kids, like don't expect it to be fun, it's going to be stressful, you're going to be tired. And we had the best time. Like, yes, you do move slower. Yes, I guess you're busier because you have to stop, change nappies, feed, all that kind of stuff. But it was nice for us to take those breaks too. And we never felt like we missed out on anything or didn't see things. So we had such a good time. We loved it. And yeah, I didn't miss the fact that we didn't have help or a nanny. I just loved the whole thing. What is the sleep setup in the blackout tents? I shared our sleeping setup, and I have a pack with me vlog where you can see what I packed, including what I was packing for the twins for their sleep. I took something called a slumber pod, and a slumber pod is it looks like a tent, but it's actually not a tent. It's designed to go over a travel bassinet or cot, and it provides a blackout environment. The fabric is completely breathable. There's a space at the top where you can put a baby monitor if you like, and there's also space in it where you could put a fan if you wanted to put a fan. But all of the rooms we were in, we had air conditioning going, so I was actually worried that it was going to be too cold for the twins. That was my big concern because of how breathable it was. We loved the slumber pods because it basically gave us an extra room without us having to pay for one in the hotel. And what I mean with that is that we assembled the slumber pods over the babies' bassinets, and at nighttime the babies would go to sleep. They went to sleep when it was still light outside, but it was dark in their bassinets when they were sleeping. And then when it got dark and we closed the curtains, we had to turn on the hotel light. So we were able to have the lights on in our hotel room or in the room we were staying in, and the babies were just asleep because they were in the dark. So it was honestly brilliant. Babies are awake. Hi, Golly. Did you love your slumber pod when you were traveling? Yes, I did. Loved it. She's just woken up from her nap. Did you purchase 4 tickets on the return flight? I saw Revy and Rue both had seats. The way in which it works for infants is that under 2, you don't pay for the tickets on the flights that we went on, but the twins, their names had to be there because they have to have passports and that kind of thing. So the twins had plane tickets, but we didn't have to pay anything for them to fly. And each twin got allocated luggage as well, baggage, and that depends on the carrier and who you're flying with. But with Air New Zealand, the babies got 2 pieces each, which could be a stroller, a travel cot, or a car seat. And the twins or babies don't get any checked baggage. So anything that you're packing for them, like clothes, that kind of thing, that has to come out of your own allowance. Dave and Rue have joined now, so we've got everybody here. One of the questions that's come through, Dave, would you guys ever consider living abroad? Oh wait, there's actually quite a few of these. Would you guys ever consider living abroad? Do you plan to move to USA? Keto food looks amazing there.
Yes, we would consider that. I think we're weighing up options.
Dave is an American, so there is an option always that we could live over there. And yeah, I guess we're just kind of keeping our eyes open and thinking about what we would like to experience still, because yeah, there's still adventures to be had, we think.
Yeah, but still youngish.
Yeah, youngish. We're not sure what that looks like yet, but you will be first to know once we figure it out. We don't know yet, so once we figure it out, we'll let you know what our plans are. Yes. This is a good question. What was the hardest part of travel? Someone has an overseas trip planned with an 8-month-old. And she's like peeking eye face, like scared.
Hardest part, I think it's the planning and setting expectations around what you can really achieve in a day. This person's talked about having an 8-month-old. You're going to be on the go slow with feeding, changing, in and out of prams, car seats all day. So yeah, just be realistic about what you can achieve in a day and go from there, I think. But yeah, hardest part, I don't know, maybe like naps on the go or something like that, changes on the go.
Hardest part might be just that the routine that you have at home does go out the window. You try to kind of stick to it, but you've got to also be flexible. So at home, the twins, have 3 naps throughout the day, whereas some days on the trip, they would just nap for like 20 minutes at a time. So there'd be so many more naps that we would try to fit in and just kind of read them. Oh, they're getting tired, we'll try another nap, and that was 20 minutes. So you just try your hardest to be flexible and go with the flow, but they're okay with like a little change to their schedule. And then probably the hardest bit after that is just when you get home, you've got to adjust them back into a time zone, back into their schedule, but that all happens in time as well. It honestly is so much fun. Oh, actually, other hardest part is,
excuse me.
Hardest part I think actually is probably all the stuff you take.
Yeah.
Because when it's just you and your partner or just yourself traveling, you can just take a little cute bag, pack everything. When you have, there's a lot of stuff.
It's not chic travel.
It's not chic travel, but we did figure out a way to actually maneuver with all of our things, and that was we wore a baby each, and then that way we could each take like 2 bags in each hand that had wheels, because we could put the bags together and then we could each wheel them. So we were able to maneuver, like we could have 8 bags between us if we needed to, like we could have made that work.
Yeah.
We didn't have it, but we figured that that's possible. So that's how we did it. How did you heat the bottles while you were out and about? There were 2 ways we did that. The first thing we did was we packed with us a, what is it called? Like a cylinder that keeps water hot or cold for up to 12 hours or 8 hours, something like that. And we brought that, it's a flask, it's a drinking flask. And we would put boiling water in that when we could. So we would bring that with us during the day. And we also had a bottle warmer. We love our portable bottle warmer, it's awesome. But depending on the temperature that the water is to start with, it can take some time for it to heat the water because it takes time to heat it up. And sometimes the twins, they are not here to be patient.
When they gotta eat, they gotta eat.
They gotta eat. So we had bottled water that was like room temperature, and then we had our hot water, and we just mixed the 2 if we didn't have time to heat water from cold to warm. Suggestions on where to go in LA or Also, where did you eat in Disney? I keep hearing bad info.
Oh.
LA. We did like the touristy stuff. Honestly, Los Angeles is not a lot of people's favorite city, and I can totally see why. I have a really good friend who lives in Los Angeles. She lives there, and so we were able to like see some local things because of her, and that was always like my favorite stuff to do in LA is like just going to the places that she recommends that are new and things. But for us in LA, we did a lot of shopping.
Yep. Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory, eat at Cheesecake Factory. Yeah, we did a lot of shopping, a lot of exploring like that. We also hit up the theme parks. We went to Universal, Disney. The food at Disney, like, it's not like a 10 out of 10 food, but it was good, right?
It's pretty good considering the volume they pumped out.
Yeah. We ate at the Hungry Bears restaurant in the Critter Country right by Splash Mountain one time. Where else did we eat? We had a drink at the Star Wars bar in the new Star Wars land, which was really good. We ate on Main Street for dinner one night. Oh, we had that Mexican in Frontierland. Like, yeah, we loved, like the food was great, eh?
Yeah.
And then when we were in California Adventure Park, I don't think we had lunch, did we? Because we were like, go.
Yeah.
We were trying to smash out as many rides as possible. Other things to do, make sure you have a rental car. We hired our car through happytoursusa.com, and that website just highlights the best deal of the week, and that way you can click on that and you can book it, and then you can check again if there's still time before your trip, and if there's a better deal you can cancel your other one at no cost and then rebook that one. And it was great. We got definitely a way better deal than our friends who did not use that website. So that's the best way to do it. And then once you get to LAX, you just jump on the shuttle bus for whatever rental car company you've got, go to that place, be prepared to wait in line for like 2 hours. I don't know what it is about those rental cars in LA, those companies. They always move so slow. It's so slow. So pack snacks, make sure you've got bottles, formula, breast milk, all that stuff if you need it for babies or young ones. Have toys, some kind of activity, games, whatever for them to try to distract them. Because yeah, that is painful getting your car. And we did hire car seats through the car rental company, and there were no issues with our car seats at all. They were great. Things to do in New York City, to be a tourist in New York City. Oh my goodness, there's a massive list. We didn't get through half of the things that I had as options, so we'll have to go back. But going and walking the Brooklyn Bridge, going and visiting Dumbo in Brooklyn, going up to one of the observatories, and there are so many of those. There's the Freedom Tower, there's the Edge, there's the Chrysler Building, there's so many. What else in New York City? Going and seeing a Broadway show.
Rooftop bars. Yeah.
There's
Times Square, quickly,
Times Square.
just run through and say you've done it.
Get in there. Go to Central Park. Yeah. And even just visiting the different neighborhoods is really cool because they all have different vibes. So go to the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, go downtown, check out Soho, go to Chinatown and get boba teas, walk through Little Italy and see the street party and have cannolis. Like, it's just fun. Yeah, there's lots of things. The day fills up really fast in New York City.
Yeah, just being out and about is an experience.
Someone says, I'm traveling to US in November and confused about tipping. Can you explain, please?
So if you're sitting down at a restaurant, then you are expected to tip.
If there's table service, like a server, a waiter, a waitress,
then you would be expected to tip between 18 and 22%. It'll be prompted for you on the bill.
Sometimes.
Most
more and more it was on the bill for us, and I don't know if it's every place that does that or they just heard our accent, so they put it at the bottom of the receipt. But my general rule is I tip 20% when I go to the States. So I tip, the easiest way to kind of do it is, say you have a bill that's $20, to tip round about 20% is you take the first number, the 2, times it by 2, and that is your tip. So it would be $24. So your $4 is your tip and 20 is your bill amount. And that's kind of the way in which I did it. Don't worry about the cents in it so much because they kind of just do it to the dollar. So if you want to round up to the nearest dollar, you can do that, or just take that first number and tip that way.
Yeah.
And then also tipping is also something you can do if you really like your housekeeping, your service like that. You can leave a couple of dollars per day that you're there. You can tip like the staff at the hotel if they help you with your bags, a couple of dollars. Yeah, if you get good service, it's kind of customary in the States to tip. So it's a good idea to have like a couple of dollar notes on you if you can, and then that way you've got easy access to those if you need to tip in cash.
But just over the counter type service?
Like coffee, grabbing like a cookie or something.
Yeah, you wouldn't tip for that.
Chipotle, all those kind of places, tipping's not expected. So if you don't want to tip, if you find that uncomfortable, you don't want to pay the extra money, just stick to restaurants like Chipotle and that kind of thing where there isn't a waiter or a waitress working, because that was a job that I did when I lived in New York, and genuinely that is how you get paid. You don't get paid an hourly rate at all. They do get paid an hourly rate, it's a small amount, but all you earn goes back to the place you earn because they have to pay your insurance and that kind of thing. So you don't see any of that money. The only money you see and that you live off of is what people tip you. So it is really important to do that if you go to a place where someone's working for tips. Someone said, it's always really funny to me when somebody makes up a fake account just to post like a passive aggressive comment. They can't say it to me. Someone said you're creating a bad habit for the twins because they should sleep in all environment, daylight, nightlight, instead of using blackout shades all the time. We did travel with blackout covers for the pram, and we also traveled with those slumber pods. The twins do fall asleep in broad daylight, just in case you're concerned. They don't need that to fall asleep, but it does help when they are this age because they get distracted all the time. So we would put the cover over our stroller so they wouldn't get distracted by people. And they're twins, like, trust me, you go a few meters and people stop to talk to them constantly throughout the day. So it was good them being covered when they needed to try to sleep. But yeah, our babies are great at just falling asleep anywhere, and they do fall asleep in broad daylight still, so don't worry about that. The subway scared us in 2016. Did you find it easy to navigate?
I was relying on you. So
My
answer would be yes.
Okay, my tip for the subway is before you go, I'm just pulling it up now, download an app. Download the app of the subway. There's NYC Subway, and there's also, what was the other one that, City Mapper. Another really good app is called City Mapper that's free, and City Mapper is amazing because you just say what your starting location is, or it picks it up and where you want to go, and you say get me there, and it will tell you how to get there if you're walking, taking public transport, all that stuff. It literally tells you what subway to get on, what subway station to get off at, all that stuff. So it's a lot easier when you use an app like that. Yeah, I think the subway is quite easy to navigate, but it does take some practice. So don't worry if you go the wrong way or that kind of thing. What did we do with our double stroller when we took it to the check-in and stuff? Like, how did we travel with our double stroller?
Oh, right. So we had it...
First of all, it's a travel stroller that we traveled with. It's not, so everything like could collapse into a bag. That's important to note. Yeah.
So we took it to the check-in and explained to them that we had a travel stroller that we would like to check at the gate, and that was all fine. Sometimes they wanted to weigh it, sometimes it was fine, but they would take our checked-in bags, we would take our carry-on and the pram away with us, and then just 10 minutes before boarding we would just take it up and they would take it away, and it would be given to us either on arrival at the air bridge or on the luggage carousel.
Dave is like kind of making it sound a bit better than what it actually was. I just want to explain because every single flight, was it every single flight we ran into issues with our pram, with our stroller?
Just about.
So, okay, if you're traveling with a double travel stroller, be prepared to have issues. I didn't think we would have issues, but we had issues. So, and we did have to like really like advocate for ourselves because we really wanted to keep the travel stroller with us before the flight because we were in the airport for 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes, and the babies needed to have a nap before going on the plane, and they don't always nap on us that well, so having them in the stroller where they could lie flat was great. So some airlines wanted us to, I think every airline wanted us to check the stroller in with our bags, and we wanted to check it in at the gate. So you need to know the weight of your travel stroller, check that it's within the weight range that the airline allows, which ours was, and just explain to them that you want to check it in at the gate. And then make sure you're there earlier to give it to them. And then the travel stroller always arrived with the bags. It was never waiting for us at the other end of the plane. So that was fine. We just had to wait for it with our bags and then we'd put the twins into it. But it always was a bit of a drama getting it on the plane, but we managed to. Anything else you want to add? Any other travel?
Just not to be worried about traveling with babies. It is very, very doable. If we can do it, anyone can. Just book it and go.
Yeah,
It'll do you a world of good.
Definitely. And you don't have to be away for as long as we were either. Part of the reason why our trip was so long was because we were seeing family at the end and we were staying with them, so we wanted to maximize as much time as we could with them. But when you are planning your trip, just remember that you are going to move slower. So normally like a couple would probably be able to get through DC and see all the things we saw in 2 days. We had an extra day because we needed that extra day to get through some more things. You might not hit all of the places you want, but that's okay. There's always time for another trip one day as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I so appreciate it. If there were any questions that we didn't answer in this video that you have, make sure that you touch base with us on Instagram. I'll leave Dave and my Instagrams linked below, so just send us a message and we would love to help and answer that question for you. And if you aren't subscribed yet, make sure you hit subscribe because I upload new videos every single week, sharing our life with these two little munchkins. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Bye.